being open source. And you've heard the report on that, but we got to confirm our approval of the budget process through practice. And so that was very exciting. And the important part about the spending request too is that this could be considered a match for the larger grant that we're writing a proposal for with the USDA for this education curriculum development being more systemic. And we're also preparing a proposal for the PSAS Fulton Heights School for an Edible School Garden project that could be farm to cafeteria style closed loop design. So those will be going out from our group by next month. It's due January 8th. And with the momentum towards those proposals, whether they're approved or not, it still gives us the foundation we need for creating the momentum of the farm to school movement, which has a lot of different spokes of change to it. I'm also excited to mention the Youth Council approval for working on the Levee mural project. I will leave any of the details of that to Monique. And last but not least is the adult education opportunity that Natural Grocers is offering to us as a community, and that there'll be a lot of chances for us as a larger stakeholder group to engage in these chances to converse about why we need local food and how nutrition can affect our overall well-being.
All right, thank you, Kelly. Okay, and for food economy, Mo and I tag team that meeting. We had a conversation regarding what the small business network looks like south of Pueblo and how Energize Colorado is interested in sort of creating a small business coalition for the Southeast region. We thought that was a really interesting thing for us to look into a little bit further. We again discussed kind of how we want to take next steps to create the business services program that we're hoping to create, be that through a broker who might represent Pueblo products, or be that through creating a one-stop shop where entrepreneurs and existing businesses could come for resources. Between now and our next meeting at the end of January, there was a couple of volunteers who are going to call out and have one-on-one interviews with folks who participated in our market scan. So we identified a short list of folks who we're going to reach out to. We'll work on a question list together, gather all of the feedback from those one-on-one conversations, and then we can really kind of establish what do folks want and how are we going to get it to them. Mo, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, we went through, we kind of talked about how we're going to start doing the asset mapping through the Miro platform. And then the other thing is we talked a lot about the upcoming Food and Ag Summit. And I think we set a date, but I don't know if we're telling everybody the date yet.
We are shopping November 12, 13 with venues. But don't forget, February 18th, mark your calendar. It's our virtual engagement to get people excited for what's ahead. So February 18th is your first marker.
Yep. Thanks for all your help on that, Monique.
Yep. All right. And environment, we postponed the meeting this month, but Dr. Jim, do you have anything you'd like to add to the group? Okay, I'm happy to share one kind of side connection. I was offered a position on the Palmer Land Conservancy Board of Trustees. I've accepted that position, so I'm excited to represent Pueblo in that space, and they are looking at some final candidates for the position that they're going to open here and the office that they're going to open here. And of course, there's lots of stuff happening on the Bessemer. So very excited to have a seat at that table to represent Pueblo and all we have to offer. Okay, did that cover it? I think so. Did we get through all the working groups? We are cruising. Awesome. Let me get back into this agenda here. All right, now we can talk about some gifts. This has been such an incredible year for the Pueblo Food Project, thanks to all of the commitment from this group. As the mayor already said, we're doing Pueblo proud, and there's just so much going on. And I'm so excited and appreciative to kind of give something back to y'all, to us as a group, to some of you as individuals. We'll see how it all plays out. But let's start with a really, really huge offering for the whole group first. And that's technical assistance coming from the Colorado Health Foundation and from Terrasoma. As you recall, the Colorado Health Foundation has awarded us the $200,000 implementation grant to focus on systems change. Maggie, the founder of Terrasoma, has worked with our group a number of times by now to help us get moving in the right direction, and she will continue to work with us. So lucky to have her expertise and experience. So I will turn it over to Maggie to tell you a little bit more about what is coming our way.
Good morning, everyone. It is really dazzling so far this morning to see everything that you have underway and all of the accomplishments. And one of the things I benefit from by providing TA to Colorado Health Foundation grantees in this Community Food Systems Initiative is I get that 10,000 foot view across the projects. And I'm a little bit of a matchmaker anyway. I come by that honestly. My great grandmother did a lot of marriage arranging in her bohemian farming community. And so I've inherited my zest for matchmaking, and I can't wait to share some of the amazing things you have going on with the other grantees that I regularly connect with. I know they'll be inspired, and I'm all about creating a constructive sense of healthy competition. So they've got a high bar to aspire to, given all the things you have underway. I want to share a little bit about CHF's approach to technical assistance over the next few months and then through the remainder of the grant period. And you may come away with some questions that I might be able to answer for you. And then you may also raise some questions that I have too, that we're kind of in wait and see mode a little bit. But, if we advance to the next slide, Monique, I can give you a little bit of a snapshot of what is happening right now. Our first technical assistance contract with CHF sunsetted at the end of October. So it was after you had heard the good news about your funding. We still had some TA requests from various grantees that we wanted to wind up or they wanted to get to, but just didn't have time during their planning process. So we had this lovely grace period of the opportunity to work with all the grantees. And then what Colorado Health Foundation has done is invited us to, which we're delighted by, invited us to continue to work with all of the grantees through the end of your grant period, right? So all the way through this 2-year cycle of this grant period. The way that they've set it up is in 2 parts. So we've got a contract that started November 1st and goes through the end of February. So this little kind of 4-month stretch. And then the next contract that we have will start March 1st and carry through to the end of the contract or the grant period. And the reason that they're doing that is because, as you know, or you may recall, when you wrote and submitted the first proposal for your planning grant, there wasn't a lot of mention about equity in that RFP. However, by the time you got to preparing your implementation plan to submit that for your phase 2 grant request, they had really centered equity as a critical focus for all the communities. And part of the reason, of course, I live in Minneapolis, just blocks away from where George Floyd was killed by police, and the center of civil unrest was in my neighborhood, and that had a lot of reverberations nationwide, compounded with COVID, of course, which has had really strained and revealed the need for the hunger relief system and the issues around community food security. So the sort of intersection of food security and equity has really been amplified, right, in 2020. And so as the foundation stepped up to commit to that work, just as so many of you have, and many communities and people around the country, they have been in the midst of doing their own work on what they think about equity, what it means to them, how they approach it, what are their central paradigms and ways of doing this work. And so what CHF is going to do during this time period from November to March is do their own reflection and work to figure out what their approach to technical assistance is, to figure out what their organizational approach to equity is. And then from March onward, you'll have the repertoire of technical assistance that's available to you through the end of the grant period with an updated approach to equity. So they've got their own homework to do to figure out how they really want to approach this. And at the same time, you may recall that Rainbow Research was a partner technical assistance provider. They aren't involved in this phase or the following phase. And at the same time, CHF is thinking about what is their approach to learning and evaluation for grantees? How can they create a way of doing that kind of reflection and learning among the grantees in a way that's most useful and meaningful to all of you? So they're taking a little planning time to deal with both of those issues. And then in March, they'll go live and say, hey, here's the way we're going to roll with the learning and evaluation component. Here's the way we're going to roll with equity and diversity. And here's the rest of the technical assistance around engagement, around coalition development, around food systems. So that's why they've got this little bridge. And the bridge phase right now, and then as I said, after March, you can see here on the slide, the focus of technical assistance for all of you will be on equity, diversity, policy and systems change, community engagement, and food systems development. And so we'll be playing a critical role in that. And as I said, you know, I'm a TA provider to all of you, but I'm also a broker to find you the right people. So if you have a specific TA need where I say, I know the perfect person, that would be really helpful to work with you. So one example is the Safe and Abundant Nutrition Alliance has said, we've got a community engagement team on staff. Their first language is Spanish, and we would like a bilingual consultant who specializes in community engagement and working with Latinx communities. And so we've identified that person who's a part of our team. So part of our job is to not just have me work with you, but find the right person to meet your specific need. So over the course, March to the end of the grant period, I'll be circling back around as we get closer to March and saying, hey, given these parameters of equity and diversity, policy and systems change, community engagement, food systems development, your own coalition development, what are your learning needs? And between now and then, I'm providing a smaller scale technical assistance. All the grantees are participating. You may know that during the last phase, we did a lot of cohort-wide learning. We're going to have a couple of opportunities for you during this grant period. The first one is on January 7th, and that is a webinar that the coalition in Boulder and Broomfield counties are going to offer to share their really creative approach to designing and facilitating virtual coalition meetings. But it's going to be long enough so that we'll be able to hear from other grantees about their great work. And given your blockbuster meeting here today, I'm hoping many of you can join and also share some of the successes and approaches that you have underway, because I know the other grantees will be interested in doing that. So we have a small bucket of technical assistance for each grantee that I'm providing right now. And Monique and I have been in contact about how to best meet your needs that way. Okay, next slide. So while I have you as a captive audience, I wanted to share a few insights about learning and capacity building with coalitions. You know, I always say I work from Toronto to Texas and Hawaii to Florida. I work all over the United States and Canada on coalition-driven community food systems efforts and do a lot of capacity building across a wide variety of communities, wide variety of groups. And so I just wanted to share a little bit about my insights around building capacity. And I guess in a nutshell, what I would say is, rather than digging 1,000 shallow holes of learning, that staying focused on a few key areas of shared capacity building leads to much stronger coalition development and a more strategic deployment of the time you're spending on learning. So as you think about the technical assistance support and overall capacity building and learning you're going to undertake as a coalition during this 2-year grant period, really be thinking about how do we make sure we are as focused as possible. So rather than digging 1 million shallow holes, we take the deeper dive we need to really amp up our skill set and our knowledge base. So let's hop to the next slide. I come by this honestly. My mom and dad were school teachers, and my background is actually in adult learning. And I've always been really interested in this idea of the role that learning plays in community-driven efforts for positive social change. And this is just a simple developmental spectrum. And so oftentimes when we're starting a new skill or trying to learn something new, knowledge, skills, abilities, whatever it is, you know, we start out as a novice and we slowly but surely acquire our knowledge, expand our skill set, deepen our mastery through time, through this sort of spectrum of moving from novice to advanced beginner to proficient to expert. And when we think about food systems work in a community, and you look at a coalition-driven model, which every grantee in CHF, of course, is constituted in that way to do this work, it's really important to think about the focused key competencies that you as a coalition need to develop together in order to accomplish your systems change agenda. Obviously, the folks around the table are passionate about food systems, right? Obviously, the folks around the table are really committed to positive social change and important health, economic, all cultural benefits to the community, right? So what are the key competencies that coalitions need in order to effectively advance and achieve the systems change agenda that you've set out for yourself with your CHF funding? So that goes back to that issue of focus, and that goes back to that issue of strategy. So rather than digging a lot of those shallow holes and learning about this and learning about that, or we're learning about equity, but we're going to try this approach, and now we're going to try that approach, and now we're going to try that approach. The digging a lot of shallow holes oftentimes leaves coalitions at that novice or advanced beginner level. And if you're very focused and strategic about the approach you take to your own capacity building as a coalition and the way that you spend your time and resources in this sort of learning and skills acquisition mode, you're far more likely to move faster down this developmental spectrum as a group, which makes you more effective at achieving your goals. Okay, next slide. So I did a webinar, I was going to say last year, but my gosh, 2020, it sure feels like it's been 5 years long, hasn't it? This was only about 6 months ago. It seems like forever. A lot has happened since then. But I oftentimes, when we're talking about the competencies that food systems advocates or champions need, and this includes us as individuals doing this work, and it also includes groups like local coalitions, I really see that there are 5 main competencies that coalitions benefit from in terms of being able to achieve their goals. And there are 3 of the learning priorities that I know you've been working on during the last phase, that you're sort of focused on between now and the end of February. And also for you as a group, as you're thinking ahead about your own learning needs from March 1st through the end of the grant period, there really are 3 that have risen to the fore. The first one is really strengthening your change strategy chops. What is our change agenda? What is our approach to successfully executing that? What kind of campaign development or advocacy skills do we need to have in place in order to advance some of these systems and policy changes that we've identified? And what are the tactical approaches we're going to take to implementing that? And of course, some of that is in your implementation plan that you've submitted to CHF. But oftentimes in those implementation plans, it's kind of higher level description. And then you've got to really dive into the weeds to figure out a robust and effective strategy. So change strategy is one of the key areas that I know you've been thinking a lot about. Another place you've been doing a lot of work as a coalition is around cultural competency. And of course, I think the last time I might have seen all of you was when we did the group profile debrief for the intercultural developmental inventory. And so I know you, like many other CHF grantees, are working through your questions and skills building around diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. And that really is not just about those as broad goals, but how do we do that work well? What do we do to do that work well? Who's around the table? Where and how do we get that work done? And when do we invest in specific efforts to build our capacity around this as we move forward during this two-year implementation phase? So I know this has been a big interest of yours. One of the things we did provide for every coalition is a series of 3 toolkits that you can embed as learning opportunities. And then of course, you'll be hearing more, as will I, from CHF about the approach they would like to take for equity and diversity capacity building come March. And then finally, you can have the best systems change agenda in the world, the most creative and useful agenda to change your own food system in a community, but it food systems work by nature is collaborative. So if you don't have strong collaboration skills in place as a coalition or as a group, it's really hard to advance that change strategy. And so oftentimes collaboration skills really are about building group norms, building a robust and constructive group culture, the processes you need in place in order to do the decision-making, the learning and the reflection that you need, the density and effectiveness of the connections you all have with each other and others in your community to advance your work. And like any good meeting, you need good facilitation skills. And so it's just a delight to participate in today's meeting and see how competent your group is at these collaboration skills real time in your meetings. And then of course you deploy these as you go in implementing your change agenda. So as I've heard from you over the course of the time I've been working with you, these are 3 of those 5 C's that I think you've paid a lot of attention to and will continue to pay attention to as you do your capacity building as a coalition. So see how these are pretty focused, right? Okay, we can go to the next slide. This is just one of my little sayings, and I am a big believer that skillful practice by coalitions is what it takes to lead to impact in changing our food system. So by paying attention to your developmental needs, by staying focused on key competencies and approaches to building your own capacity, and by thinking about your own progress and being systematic in your capacity building, that will develop your collaborative skills and will lead to impact. So being as strategic about the way you invest in your own learning and development as you are about the changes you're trying to make in your community. So rather than digging 1,000 shallow holes, I recommend you take a deep dive. And that's my last slide. So, you know, as you think about your capacity building over the next many months, you know, fostering collaboration through creative means of strengthening those collaboration skills and muscles, strengthening your advocacy skills for systems change, being creative and strategic about the approach you take to engaging community members who are affected by the issues that you're working on, and of course, your continued work to advance equity. So I think these kind of focus areas are something that you've been working a lot on over the course of the time I've been working with all of you. And I think it makes sense to stay the course. And when you think developmentally about your own work as a coalition and your collective development as a group of leaders for the community, having these skills as a group are going to diffuse out to the community in a lot of different ways through time, in the same way that the very changes you're trying to make to your food system will have long-term sustainable benefits to the community too. So I'll stop there. And then I think, Monique, we're doing kind of Q&A stuff now. Is that right?
I think we have time if folks want to follow up with Maggie with a direct question about anything that she shared, or if you have thoughts, something that really excited you about all of the offerings on the table, we can take a couple minutes to share that now.
I just have a quick question. What was the last item on that last slide?
Last item on the last slide was
Right underneath
question.
Engage.
Advancing equity. So we have fostering collaboration, advocating for systems change, engaging affected community members, and advancing equity.
Thank you.
Yeah, and this time through, just operationally, all of you, for this little sort of mini chunk of TA, there's a little bit of a bucket for each grantee to work with me to figure out how to deploy it. And I've been in dialogue with Monique about that. And limited cohort-wide learning opportunities. But after this 4-month time period, there'll be more cohort-wide learning opportunities available. One of the things that CHF is exploring is when we can all see each other in person again. You know, things took I think a positive shift on Monday, you know, where people are starting to feel hopeful that this won't go on forever. So they have some really neat things in mind coming up for that last time period where we can all get together. After March 1st, we're going to offer some more cohort-wide opportunities where any member of any coalition can participate. And then we're piloting a learning community of practice over the next few months for rural mobile food delivery models. There were a few grantees that expressed interest in that. So there's a subset of coalitions that are working on that particular issue as part of their implementation plan. And so we have retained the technical assistance expertise of someone who really knows how to do that, and we'll be working over the next few months with that cohort. So there's all sorts of ways as I work with you over the next few months to kind of figure out what your needs are that can help shape the course and direction of those cohort-wide learning opportunities of subsets of grantees working together, as well as what we provide for you as an individual grantee. And there'll be much, I would say, significantly more resources during that last stretch than this kind of bridge stretch.
All right. Well, everyone give Maggie a round of applause for sticking it out with us.
Oh, it's just so inspiring. And I'm telling you, like when I got back from the last time, you're the last trip I took before COVID. I was in Pueblo, like right before everything shut down. And every chance I could, I looked at all those beautiful buildings you have in town. And my husband is a visual artist. And so I've continued to talk to him about, you should see the studio spaces that would be available if we lived in Pueblo. So, you know, yeah, I am so delighted to have the privilege of working with all of you and look forward to future collaboration. And I just want to congratulate you on such a successful year in spite of all the challenges. This work isn't easy to begin with. And then, you know, 2020 happened. And so I just want to commend you for your really powerful collaboration, just a very solid set of demonstrated impacts. And I'm looking forward to seeing great things from all of you and wish you all a happy new year.
Thank you, Maggie. All right, let's continue on the gift list. That's a big one, but we have more to share. We have so much abundance around us, so I'm very excited. From our last meeting, we had a great activity in terms of talking points. Everyone broke out into small groups. They workshopped a couple of the talking points. We came back with examples of how those could be presented. And one really great takeaway from that conversation was that each of our talking points should be backed up by an actual example of our work. And so we went back to the drawing board. We found those examples. Megan has done a great job of designing the page for us, and we will share that in our January newsletter. So the cheat sheet is on the way. You'll be able to print this off, share it with folks, use it as you continue to talk about the Pueblo Food Project and introduce others to what we're up to. The next gift I have to share is, it's so cool. And Dr. B's on the line with us. So if he wants to say a couple of words on this, it's fabulous. But the short version of a long story is that there is a brand new Pueblo chili variety in the house. Dr. B is the mastermind, and he has graciously offered, once all of the legalities are worked out, to contribute a portion of the sales from this brand new Pueblo Primrose chili variety to the Pueblo Food Project. Dr. B, I don't know if you want to unmute and share a couple words.
Sure. I just, some of you know, I've been working on, part of my job responsibilities are working on different chili varieties, and we've have several that released to local growers. And there's actually two varieties that I'm interested in figuring out a way that we can add value to both the Pueblo Food Project and the Palmer Land Conservancy. And so right now I've got approval from the dean and other people higher up the food chain than I am from the university, and we're working it out, the legalities of how to license a couple of varieties. One is, again, this one that we're going to name Pueblo Primrose. This is an ornamental type variety that can be used by any homeowners. And what gave me the idea about it is we saw just a dramatic increase in people wanting to grow plants in their yards this year. And I'm sure Derek and Frank and other people that are involved in that could testify that people want to grow plants. And so maybe this might be a way to add value, and maybe not necessarily bring in a lot of money, but maybe bring some notoriety to these organizations, these two nonprofits that are associated with Pueblo. Another variety that we have is called the Pueblo Popper, and that's been released from growers for a couple of years. That's kind of a 2-inch round diameter pepper that's more has a culinary use. My expertise falls off a cliff when it comes to the culinary aspects of it, but I think maybe there's individuals in this organization, obviously Mo and others, that might be able to use that and look at ways to enhance some value to that pepper by different culinary practices. But anyway, we'd like to figure out a way, and we're in the process of developing a license that anybody who uses this variety of proceeds would go to those two organizations. So if you have any ideas on how to do that, I can envision plant sales that go to benefit the group or things like that. If you got any ideas, please let me know, because next week I'm meeting with individuals with the university to kind of structure a license, how to do that. But again, I have not a lot of expertise on legalities. So if you've got any unique ideas how you can use these varieties to benefit the organizations, please let me know. Thank you for the opportunity. And if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer those about them.
I have so many questions, Mike.
That's so exciting. It's so exciting.
So great.
Yes, it's really, really cool. We have time for one question, perhaps, before we move on. So if someone has a burning one for Dr. B, go for it.
Oh man, I can save mine if somebody else has a question.
I have a quick one. What's the heat level on the poppers?
The poppers are very fairly mild, so they've only got about 1,000 or so Scoville units, and like I said, they can be used for stuffing or a lot of other things. Just don't know what to do with those, but I think there's some unique, maybe some events or some recipes or challenge, contests on how to prepare these the best way. It'd be the best way. This particular pepper is actually mostly ornamental, but can be eaten, but it's very, very pungent. And I've tried to can it, and it makes a great pickled pepper, but it's very pungent, and I would put a warning on it. If you're going to eat it, you're going to get a little surprised. But for people in Pueblo, it's probably tastes like a piece of candy.
Right. That is so exciting, and we're excited to grow them out and see what happens. Put them in our edible landscapes for 2021.
Hey, Monique, this is Brian. Can I ask Mike a question?
Sure.
Hey, Mike, Brian Freeman. Have you talked to anyone around tourism and tying that into maybe some kind of, I know food service is beat up right now, but somebody that is like at the airport, that somebody could make a name for like the Pueblo Popper chili and tie that into, some potentially big chain, whether it be someone like Good Times or some Colorado food chain that you might be able to get that into the world of, fast casual or fast food service that's still out there and going. Just a thought for you if there's anyone working in that direction.
I don't know if anybody's doing it. Like I said, I could use all the help I can. Like I said, once the pepper leaves the field, there goes my expertise. So any help or any ideas would be very much appreciated. But thank you for that, Ryan.
Yeah, definitely. Mo, I see that smile on your face. Do you want to jump on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we've talked about in the food economy working group a lot. Could we have a person, a broker of some sort, represent that, not just for the individual chilies, but really for all Pueblo products, to get them on store shelves or into restaurants, even fast food restaurants would be kind of cool. I have so many questions about this, but my first question, Mike, is can I start playing around with these when they start growing next year?
Oh, absolutely. Just anything you want to do. That's like I said, I have no expertise in the culinary aspect of it. So we would love to have people see what they can do with them and how to add value to these products, particularly both of them, both the Primrose and the Pueblo Popper.
Yeah, so, I can't wait to start stuffing them with stuff. On the Pueblo Chili Growers website, there is a recipe we developed at PCC for the poppers. It's pimento cheese stuffed poppers. So you can head over to that website and check that out.
Great. I didn't know that. Thanks, Mo.
Right. Isn't that so exciting, y'all? Ah. Okay, here we go. On to the next. So Natural Grocers reached out to the Pueblo Food Project. I want to acknowledge that they are the first retailer to kind of reach out to us and say, hey, we're really excited about what you have going on and we want to get involved. They have an in-house nutritionist. Her name is Roxanne. And she runs classes. Her catalog of classes is, dozens and dozens and dozens deep. And she said, why don't we work together? And I am excited to launch an education series specific to the Pueblo Food Project Coalition. So these are classes just for us. Of course, they are all free. They'll be done virtually for now, but spoiler alert, Natural Grocers is putting in a brand new store that's going to have an education space and a demonstration kitchen in the new store that they're building. So once it's safe for us to get together, we can have those classes in person with her, but for now, they are special virtual sessions just for us. You can follow up with Roxanne for one-on-one kind of conversation in terms of your own diet and goals and nutrition and the way food impacts your mind, body, and soul. She's a certified naturopath and lots of other really cool credentials. So in addition to the classes, we have this opportunity for one-on-one coaching with her. And everyone who participates in one of the classes receives $5 to spend in the store. So not only do we get the education for free, we're getting paid to educate ourselves on food and nutrition, which is amazing. The Food and Farm Literacy and Education Working Group took a first hack at the very vast catalog of classes that Roxanne and Natural Grocers has to offer us. And we distilled it down to these 5. So we'd like to launch one of these classes in January to kick things off. And we are going to take a poll to kind of see what folks are interested in. So there are 3 questions in this poll. You see it on your screen now. The first question is about which class you're most excited to take. The next question is when you would be most likely to take a class. In general, they're about an hour or less. And then the last question is what day would you most likely be willing to take one of these classes? So on our short list is Immunity 101, how we build up our body's own immunity through health and nutrition. Detox 101, how we cleanse the body from whatever may have overtaken us throughout 2020. The next is stress fighting foods. Of course, we're all feeling it. How can our diet and the choices of what we put in our body help reduce our anxiety and promote healthy stress levels? The next is, can your food choices change the world? This is more of a high-level systems conversation about what our food choices really mean in terms of the world we want to see. And then the last is fermented foods. It's a quick class on fermented foods. What's up with them? What are they good for? Et cetera, et cetera. So I see we have about half of folks have voted. Only 52% of y'all have voted. And I'd like to see a little bit more participation in that before we close this up. So please cast your opinion and we will see how this shakes out. It's a free opportunity for us to learn from a local expert and build a partnership with a major retailer in town, which certainly is not going to be a bad thing considering all of the great work that we're looking to do. All right, a few more folks, pretty please. We're at 75% of the vote. 33 folks have cast. Some of y'all are on the phone, so I know you can't vote that way. But if a couple more folks would take a chance and cast their votes, I'll close it up once we get a few more responses. All right, how about 30 seconds left, and then we will share our results. Okay, I'm gonna close it up. It looks like Stress Fighting Foods has won by just a nod over Detox 101. I'm certain that we can schedule both of those in January if folks will participate. The best time is that 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. time, right before lunch. And folks are a little mixed, more or less. Half of y'all say, yeah, you'd do it on a Saturday, but more folks are interested, or excuse me, just under are interested in doing it during the week. So I will share this with Roxanne, get with her and see when we can get these scheduled. But we will have something on the calendar for January and we're excited to have it be an ongoing thing. So shout out to Natural Grocers and Roxanne. Any questions on that before we move on? Okay. All right. Now things really get exciting. The executive committee of the Pueblo Food Council agreed that everyone in this coalition has been dedicating so much time and talent to the work that we're doing together, and we wanted to give a little something back. So we are going to play a modified version of Jeopardy! And we have our very own Megan Moore. Who needs Vanna White when you have Megan Moore on your team? She's been working behind the scenes to get everyone's name in a hat. And I am going to pull up the board here in just a second. We have really great prizes, all from local restaurants, and everyone gets a prize. Some prizes are bigger than others. That's all I will say. Give me 1 second here to pull up this board, and we will play some Jeopardy! Okay, give me a thumbs up that you can see my screen. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, and of course, as with any good trivia game, we have a very special judge. Miss Linda Tremblay herself will be adjudicating these answers, so you better be specific. All right, here we go. We're gonna get started. Megan, would you please draw the first contestant from the hat? And you are on mute.
Jared Mason.
All right, Jared, would you like to pick a question off the board?
Let's do working groups for 13.
Okay, name one of the goals of one of the work groups.
To bring the same cafe into Pueblo.
All right, there are so many. I will count that as a win. Linda, do you agree?
I agree.
All right. You win a $13 gift card to Bingo Burger.
Yay.
Okay, next. Who's next? Megan?
Lucy. Oh, that's kind of funny. Lucy Rose.
Wow, Yoo-hoo Brands, lucky this morning. All right, Lucy, pick a question.
Let's do working groups for 20.
Okay. What could the Pueblo Food Project do to gain greater participation in working groups?
We can continue to train all of our working group members about what the Pueblo Food Project does. That way they can go and advocate on our behalf and tell others about it, as well as encourage people to follow Facebooks and newsletters and all of those fun things.
Linda, is that a match?
If I could play a fanfare for a win, I'd be playing a fanfare now. Good job, Lucy.
All right, Lucy, you win a $20 gift card to Papa Jose's.
Woo.
Who's next, Megan?
Raylyn Martinez.
Raylyn, are you on the line? Raylyn may have to jump off.
Yeah, she was just on here. She must have popped up. Brian Estrada. He might have popped off too. No, he's here. Brian.
Had to get that unmute going. I may be a loser because I'm new to this, you guys. So, let's do 2020 in review for 13.
What was one key takeaway from the market scan survey?
See, guys, I'm a loser because I wasn't for that. I wasn't here at that time. Sorry.
Who can help out Brian? Someone shout out an answer.
So we learned that businesses are more looking for services than infrastructure.
All right, Mo, good job.
Thank you, Mo.
Brian, you'll have to split your cheeseburger with Mo.
That'll be fine. We've shared many a meal.
All right. Let's see here. Okay. And who's next? Megan?
Gregory Garber.
Gregory, would you like to answer a question?
Hello.
Pick a category, sir.
I just lost my screen. Anyway, yeah, this is my first time. I don't really know what's going on.
Okay, all right. Well, we thank you very much for joining us. We will go ahead and skip you for this round. A prize is coming your way either way. We are just covering some trivia questions of all of the great things we've learned over the last year together. But thank you for joining us, and we're excited for your participation in 2021. Megan, who's next?
Dr. Mike.
Dr. B.
Okay, I'll go food systems for 20.
What area of the Pueblo food system would you like to see improved, and how could we improve it?
Get more farmers involved and get more people growing food locally, and we can improve it by just keep going and getting them involved in every aspect we can think of. So
right, that sounds like a good answer to me. Dr. B, that's a $20 gift certificate coming your way to Papa Jose's.
Thank you.
Who's next?
I'm so jealous of all these prizes. I didn't put my name in the hat. I don't think I can. Sarah McGilligan.
Hi guys. So I'll do working groups for 8. So we got the advocacy group, education, economy. There's 2 more. I'm not a part of the other 2.
Help her out. What are the other 2?
Farm and literacy. Oh, farm and literacy and environment. All right, cool. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Access. Education and farm and literacy are kind of the same thing. It was access. But we got you, Sarah. I gave you a shout out earlier for that press release template. Thank you. You have an $8 gift certificate to Solar Roast coming your way.
Thank you.
All right, who's next?
Lindy Webb.
I'm here. Food systems for 30.
Whoa, going for it. I like it. What role does policy play in shaping food systems?
It definitely determines whether our goals in the other levels that affect our food system, whether we can make changes or not. You know, if a policy is impeding us from accomplishing a goal, we need to advocate to change that policy.
That's right. That's why we're focusing on many layers here. We know that policy impacts the way food businesses operate, what services are available to residents, how food safety is evaluated. It also impacts seeds and agricultural inputs and the way we're able to grow our food. So policy is layered into every aspect of food systems change that we're working on, even if it's not immediate or not. And Lindy, for that great answer, you will receive a $30 gift card to Do Drop In Pizza.
Woohoo, I love them.
All right. Megan, next.
Rachel, if you're still on.
Hello. Why don't I try food systems for 13?
All right. What does farm to table often mean?
Often it means, usually it's a restaurant, who sources directly from their community. It also sort of underscores that you have a direct relationship with your farmer versus the traditional means is through a big aggregator, distributor, etc.
Exactly. That is a good answer. It's food that travels directly from the producer to the consumer with little intermediaries. Rachel, you get a $13 gift certificate to Bingo Burger.
Yes. Thank you.
Who's next?
Marcy Cochran.
Marcy. Last call for Marcy. Marcy, are you on mute? All right, next.
Dr. Kelly.
Dr. Kelly.
Okay. Let's do systems change for 50.
Going for it. Okay. Members of the Pueblo Food Project participated in the intercultural inventory to gauge where the group was on the whole as it relates to working across difference. We reviewed the results at our September meeting. Name one of the stages of the intercultural development continuum.
I need a lifeline. No. Let's see. I can picture the infographic, but not the words. I think.
Maybe you can share with us one of your takeaways from that experience.
I think we're moving from acceptance of where we are into awareness of all the diversity and cultures around us. I don't know the label for the phases though.
All right. There are starting from a monoculture mindset and reaching an intercultural mindset. There's a stage of denial, of polarization, of minimization, acceptance, and adaptation. It is an arc from denial all the way to adaptation. And the group that participated in the intercultural development inventory ranked at minimization. And we are moving that arc from minimization to adaptation. And that is the work that Maggie described, and a big focus for our group because we know that equity is chiefly important to what we're trying to accomplish.
So we have a winner. Dr. Kelly mentioned acceptance.
Yes.
There you go. All right. Thank you, Judge. Dr. Kelly, you win a $50 gift certificate to Bistoro, so you can have some glamped up takeout for you and the fam.
Thank you.
All right. Who's next?
Derek.
Ooh, that's me. I'll take systems change for 20.
Systems change for 20. All right, name one of the systems changes the Pueblo Food Project is working towards. And this is a buddy bonus question.
Buddy bonus. One system change, but can I look at my notes?
You sure can.
Oh, good, because I need my notes. Equitable access for food for all.
You got it, Derek. That is definitely one of our systems changes. Since this is a buddy bonus question, you get to pick one person that you would like to also receive a gift certificate from Papa Jose's.
Ooh, let me see who's on the line. Come on. Can't see the list. Well, I don't know. Frank Cordova.
All right. So Derek, you will get a $20 gift certificate to Papa Jose's, and Frank, we will send you a $10 gift certificate to Papa Jose's as the buddy bonus.
Thanks.
Okay, who's next? We're running up against the clock here. We got 10 minutes to knock out these questions. We want to save some
Selena Pacheco.
announcements. Ooh, Selena.
I guess I'll do 2020 and review 50.
Okay, go for it. Share one or two of the PFP talking points we covered in the November meeting.
So one of the talking points that we covered in November. Probably just, I don't know. I remember it like briefly. And it was like one of the positive things is we're just getting a lot of this, as people say, farm to table to some of these less fortunate people that could get it. That's probably not a talking point, but that's what I got away from the November meeting.
Yep, we're working on access of local food to everyone. Someone else helped Helena out with one of the talking points from November. We had 5. Okay, y'all, when
That
we
cheat
told
sheet
you,
would really come in handy right now.
yeah, when we told you at the end of last meeting, 82% of you said they were more capable of talking about the Pueblo Food Project than when they started. So dig deep, dig deep. What was one of the 5 talking points? Jared and
So
Lucy,
I got one if
we may need you to help out.
Oh, if we're talking like what you and I did.
Yeah.
So it's like the homeless kits, the jackets, the beanies, the gloves, and then we did the little packs with tuna and basically the grab and go meals. What else? I know there
Those are
was
some of the activities that we did. Okay, someone help out with one solid talking point. Advocacy co-chairs, come with it, please.
I got one.
Go for it,
So,
Mo.
and this is my working group, so it's a bit of a cheat, but develop and strengthen the local food economy by connecting businesses, supporting new and existing businesses to scale and grow, creating an outline for physical infrastructure, and incentivize plans for using local.
Bingo. All right. That definitely connects to the initial ideas that you had. Selena, Linda, what do you think?
I think we can call it a go. She's a winner.
All right. Selena, you win a $50 gift certificate to Brews Ale House. And here are those 5 talking points, my friends. Let's read them together. Increase equity and access to fresh food in our communities. Advocate for the community's voice. Develop and strengthen the local food economy. Integrate food and farm literacy and education into public school classrooms and community settings, and support efforts that focus on a healthy, functional environment to ensure a vibrant food system. This is what we're up to. This is what we're going for. This is what the Pueblo Food Project is all about. So we may run another exercise in January to really hammer that in. Okay. Who's next, Megan?
Tom Kerrigan.
Tom Kerrigan.
Okay, let's do 2020 and 8. Be nice.
Share something new you learned this year by participating in the Pueblo Food Project.
One of the best things, and to me, it was one of the most wonderful things, was the commitment of the different members of the collaboration here. The willingness to share and to listen to each other, to listen to each other's suggestions and ideas without criticism. I thought that was just, for me, this has been a wonderful sharing experience. I've never seen something like this before, working and been involved in it. Thank you to everyone out there for that.
All right, good answer. Tom, you get an $8 gift certificate to Solar Roast Coffee, who has really great breakfast burritos, by the way. Okay, who's next? We have time for a couple more.
DM Sellers.
DM Sellers, are you on the line?
I am. I'm just very shy.
All right, well, we're here to help you out if you'd like to pick a category and a question.
Oh gosh. Okay. I'm new here to Pueblo, so I'll do food systems for 8.
Name one part of the food supply chain.
Definitely the farmers.
Exactly. We have planting and harvesting with the farmers, processing, distribution, retail, consumption, and waste. DM, you will receive an $8 gift card to Solar Roast Coffee.
Awesome. Thank you.
Megan, who's next?
Brian Freeman.
Brian Freeman.
Well, okay. That was a shock. Go right ahead.
Please pick a category and a question.
I gotta pick. My question is 2020 in review for 13 or 8. Yeah, we'll do 8.
8, there's only 20 and 30
20.
left.
Sorry, I had it back. My computer showing backwards. 20.
All right. What was one key takeaway from the food access survey?
Boy, if I'm remembering right, it was most around gosh, it was the insecurity, but I want to be specific on that. Gosh, it was something around food insecurity, and I apologize. I'm missing it. I need a friend.
Someone help him out. What was one key takeaway from that survey?
So we didn't lose a lot of food out to
grocery leakage. Yeah.
Yeah, grocery leakage. Thank you. I was like, we didn't lose a lot of.
Yeah.
Yep.
I actually like that leakage, but I was surprised about that, but we'll go on.
There you go. Okay, we will send you a $20 gift certificate to Papa Jose's. Megan, who is next? We have some heavy hitters left on the board. We want to answer these questions.
Mo Montgomery.
Mo Montgomery.
Woohoo! I'm gonna do 2020 in review for 30.
All right. Did you visit one of our 3 edible landscapes? What do you think of the pilot project and how could it improve?
I visited all 3 projects. Two of the sites I visited with Monique and Derek on that day when Senator Bennett came down. And then the Mineral Palace Park one I took my kids to, and they thought it was just the coolest idea in the world. So I think it's a great pilot project. I think for improving would, the signs were kind of an issue that they kept getting like stolen or vandalized or damaged. So I think that just figuring out how to tell the world that this plot is for everybody with some kind of signage that's not going to get damaged or have to be replaced. But I thought, those plants look so good and scrumptious. A good job, everybody who planted it.
Yes, exactly. Shout out to the stewards on the line who are responsible for these spaces. We're looking forward to doing it again in 2021. And Mo, that was for 20 or 30?
I think it was for 30. Megan, do you remember?
All right, you get it. I think that's right. That is a $30 gift certificate to Dewdrop in Pizza.
Woohoo!
Okay, we're gonna take 2 more.
Frank Cordova.
Hey, hi. Thank you. I'll go with systems change for 30.
How is a systems change different from a program?
Systems change actually gets at the root of the various parts of the food system rather than a program being very short term and kind of has a single goal in mind.
There you go. Systems changes are often long-term and changes how things are done over time. That is a $30 gift certificate to Dewdrop in Pizza coming your way.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
All right. Megan, let's go for one more.
Paula Robin.
Paula.
Okay, let's go big or go home. I might need some help answering, but food systems for 50.
Define a food system.
So a food system is a collective coalition of all of the entities, businesses, people engaged in bringing food from farm to table, not just restaurants, but all people. And all of the factors that are involved within that.
Linda, what do you say?
I think she's got the concept down. Looks good to me.
All right, and we just want to remember that a community's food system is critical infrastructure and should be built on high standards of transparency, accountability, stewardship, and trust. Paula, that is a $50 gift card to Bistoro.
Yay!
Okay, and for these last 4 questions, first person to type the correct answer in the chat wins. I'm just gonna bounce through these, type your answer in the chat, and we will send the gift card that way. Remember the video from our October meeting about the food shelf remodel? What was one systems change they implemented? Next question. What is the theory of change? If you know the answer, type it in the chat. Next question. Who can participate in the Pueblo Food Project working groups? And how many working groups can you participate in? Type your answer in the chat. And the last question of the day. Why is participation in a work group important to the success of the Pueblo Food Project? First person to type in a solid answer to that one will get that last prize. Okay, I'll let the chat just go nuts for a little bit while I come back to our deck here. Thank you very much for participating in that game. Okay, last bit of work before we open it up for community announcements. We want to create a story about all of the things that our group has learned over the year. And so I'm asking those who are still with us to drop one thing you learned from the Pueblo Food Project or your experience with the Pueblo Food Project in the chat. And then one thing that excites you for 2021. And we're going to gather all of this feedback and we're going to turn it into a story, maybe with some infographics for our January newsletter. So that is your last bit of work for the day. I know we've really put you through it today, but if you could drop those in the chat, that would be great. We will add it to the story for January. Okay, and while those are coming in, it is now time for our community announcements. So this is a space in our agenda for anyone on the line to share something they have going on, an update, a call for volunteers, anything along those lines.
Sure, I'll go. This is Derek. So as all of you know, the mobile food pantries also always need volunteers. So if you're willing to help us out, you know, we always need people. If you're willing to help us out, please give me a call, a shout out, an email, a phone call, a text, whatever you got. And if you can't get a hold of me, you can get a hold of Marcy Cochran over there, and also Tom Kerrigan. There's another person to contact over there. And I do have a quick update for the All Pueblo Grow Seed Lending Library. We did submit our order for seeds this last week. We're still waiting on confirmation of the order. So we are moving forward. In fact, we have another planning meeting today at noon to start planning our efforts for producing the seed kits for the All Pueblo Grows starting for 2021. It's going to be an exciting year. And Dr. B, Dr. Bartolo, I'd really like to get your phone number and or your email address so that we can connect with that, because I have some things I'd like to discuss with you about that particular effort. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
All right. Any other community announcements or updates? If you're at your screen and you can take yourself, if you can undo your camera just so we can see each other and wave our goodbyes, that would be awesome. Any other announcements or updates?
I would just like to say happy holidays, everybody. Stay safe, stay well, and thank you for a great 2020.
All right, thank you, Paula. Paula serves diligently as the secretary for the Pueblo Food Council. She works overdrive at all of these meetings. Anyone else have an announcement that they would like to share with the group? All right, I'm gonna do one last plug for today, the State Fairgrounds, 12:30 to 5. We have 29,750 pounds of food that we are pushing out to the community between Karen Share and the Pueblo Food Project. Not to mention 800 pizzas, and I couldn't tell you how many stockings and bicycles. So if you're looking to have a good time, holler at me. We would love some extra hands. And if there are no other announcements, questions, or comments, one last big breath in. Thank you all so much. It's been an incredible year, and we will see you in January. Pueblo Food Council members, stay on this line. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Hey, Monique, that distribution at the state fairgrounds for folks who are looking to receive food, did they have to sign up or anything, or can they just get in line?
It's specific to Bessemer, Minnequa, Columbian. No, Carl. It's specific
Yes.
schools who are invited.
Oh, the school.
It's
Okay,
organized by
gotcha.
Ray Aguilera. Yeah, it's not a public event, unfortunately.
Monique, this is Linda. I have an emergency call coming in from a family member. So
Okay.
I will keep you on my computer screen, but I can't communicate there. I'll
Okay.
dial back in. Thanks.
Sounds good. Yep, we hear that.
Hey, Monique, did you see my comment? This is Brian about donating my gift certificate to Linda.
I have not been monitoring the chat, Brian, but we will have a record of it. And if that's the case, I am happy to do that.
I mean, I would just rather give it to somebody that's there if you wanted to do it to somebody else, but I'd just rather give it to somebody that's there. That could. I'm up in Evergreen, Colorado.
Okay. Yep. We hear you, and we will give that to Linda.
So, and if you want to go offline, I also had sent you an email a while back just asking if you had sent me an email asking if I could help, but you'd sent it to my old growers, which I don't have as much access to. So I responded recently and said, hey, anything I can do for you all with my connections, I'm more than happy to do.
Okay. All right. I will. It's possible that you responded to my old email because I switched over as well. So we'll sort it out, and I'll follow up with you directly in the coming week.
Okay. I hope you guys are well, and thanks for all that you're doing. Thanks for continuing this program. I think it's really important. So.
Yep. Thank you. Bye.
Hey, Brian, it's nice to hear from you again. This is
Thanks, Mo. It was great to see you when I
know.
popped in. I've been in on a couple of meetings, not as many as I probably should be. But yeah, it's exciting to see where you guys have taken this whole thing from that little, food summit concept of really driving this thing to where it needed to go. So I congratulate you just because,
Yeah, thank you.
I can tell you since selling growers, I've been doing a ton of advocacy work. It's just amazing how broken our food system really is.
We got to catch up because I didn't know that you sold growers. And I thought you were up in Boulder, not in Evergreen. So
yeah,
shoot me an email when you get a chance. We'll catch up.
I definitely will, Mo. I definitely will.
Okay.
Okay, I am going to stop our recording from the overall meeting.